Pry open your third eye with me, your big-headed know-it-all, polymath Scott Spackey, and guests. Change your mind, change your life. Full episodes, services, knowledge, and all you'll ever need on scottspackey.com and life-mind.com. Are you ready?
Find me where the ocean collides with the sun.
Welcome to and welcome back to Pry Open Your Third Eye. With me, your big-headed know-it-all polymath, Scott Spackey, and producer and co-host Chloe is with us today, and we're going to have a guest that she's going to introduce in a moment. And today may be a little bit of a shift. We've had some good discussion about some very serious topics for people to self-improve and break through behavioral things and get to know each other and understand behavioral concepts and ideas and communication. It's been a lot of fun. And today's going to be a little bit more serious type of topics. And I think that that shift is going to be a shift in the wind. I think that I've been looking forward to things getting a little bit more serious, you could say. And that doesn't mean we're not going to have fun. We're definitely going to have fun. I mean, I find humor in pretty much everything. The darker that things are, the funnier sometimes I find them. So anyway, we have, again, been discussing many different areas and topics and having a lot of fun with that. And generally, as everything we do here is geared towards helping people develop themselves mentally, psychologically, behaviorally, spiritually, any way that they can. And so we're covering a variety of topics. And today is going to be, again, a little bit of a shift that I wouldn't say more serious. Chloe, why don't you introduce our guest and our topic and say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. And today we're joined with our guest, Dana. He's joined us once before for New Year's Revolution for that series. Welcome back, Dana. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Good to see you, man. I've not seen you. We've talked many times, but I've not seen you in a long, long time.
Been a long time.
We have not seen one another, and so it is good to see you. And the cool thing is that Chloe mentioned that Dana was on some time ago with the New Year's Resolution Revolution, and I don't think we talked much about New Year's resolutions during that episode. During that session, it did have a theme that was about changing behaviors and new commitments and new realizations and all those kind of things, but it went in a different direction that we did not quite anticipate. That was actually way more fun than we could have properly planned.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty eye-opening, and it became very inspirational, I think, too. I don't think either one of us, we certainly didn't plan that, and we've both been very philosophical kind of people. I mean, that's kind of how Dana and I bonded when we were very young, is that our group of friends in high school, everyone was kind of cool, but Dana and I were like the two of us particularly were kind of like the kind of darker philosophical kind of guys, and not everybody quite got us in that way. So we kind of always kind of went off on our own and got kind of a little deeper on issues and on topics and things. And so we kind of bonded over that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
We were all doing a lot of drugs and doing acid and doing all that, but I was always looking for the deeper meanings of things, and so Dana and I would sometimes kind of dive down rabbit holes, philosophically, spiritually, all kinds of things. We were very into some pretty dark and heavy stuff for a while there. So,
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so today, Chloe, why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about today and why we're all together here?
Today, we're going to be watching 2 chapters or sections from Project Addiction, written by Scott. And the first is pleasure versus fulfillment. And then we're going to follow that up with spirituality and recovery. Scott, can you tell us a little bit more about this and how Project Addiction came about?
Well, let's set aside how Project Addiction itself came about, because that's kind of a big answer. And I'd like to dive right into pleasure versus fulfillment. And I'll tell you that how that chapter came about. The irony is that when I wrote that chapter in that section and produced it as a video, part of the video course, I thought it was going to be a big, long chapter because it was a cornerstone of what I was teaching and offering people. And surprisingly, it went in like 3 or 4 pages, and I was like, that's done. Like, that covers everything that I want in this. And that surprised me. So throughout my career, I was touring a lot, radio stations, TV shows, and podcasts, and also invited as a guest speaker and as a keynote speaker at many organizations. And I was often asked, somebody would often ask, what's the true cause of addiction? What's truly causing what people are doing to themselves? And the audience that would be around would kind of chime in, and they'd all get this like look on their face like, that's what we want to know. Nobody could really feel they could trust and rely on the science that was being offered them by all the recovery centers and all the stuff they've been reading. They wanted a bigger and deeper answer. And I had that answer because what I saw early on in myself, and I think Dana will resonate because we're both hardcore dope fiends. That's how we know each other. Both Dana and I would slam a lot of dope. As a counselor over the years, what I saw is that this world brainwashes us to pursue pleasure and happiness. And that sounds fundamental and that sounds just fine. But what we truly seek is fulfillment. Now, what I'd like to do before I go into that, I'd like to just turn it over to this 5-minute video section course. You'll be able to watch it and listen to it. And it is called Pleasure versus Fulfillment and explains what and why this works. So let's just let it speak for itself.
We are all and all are one. Find me where the ocean collides with the sun. Collides with the sun.
20. Pleasure versus fulfillment. You're entirely bonkers, but I'll tell you a secret. All the best people are. Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. Drug addiction is a symptom of the disease of unfulfillment. Happiness and fulfillment are different. Happiness is an emotional sense of pleasure. Pleasures are transient and incomplete. Fulfillment is an emotional and intellectual feeling of being whole and complete. Fulfillment has longevity. Happiness is featured within fulfillment, but fulfillment is not necessarily a feature of happiness. Pleasure, happiness, appeals to your senses, but fulfillment appeals to your spirit. To feel happy, we must acquire and experience, but to feel fulfilled, we must achieve and accomplish. Fulfillment goes deep as it continues to evolve after the actual event that began it. So long as anyone remains devoid of feeling fulfilled, they will unconsciously seek simple pleasures as an alternative. Drugs, sex, food. Once fulfillment is experienced, it becomes the priority and totally eclipses the desire for pleasure or happiness. Discovering fulfillment requires the same effort and experimentation as seeking pleasure does. However, it takes more patience and endurance. Pleasures abound, they're common, but fulfillment is specific and precise and requires perseverance and tenacity. As you contemplate and search for fulfillment experiences, consider these qualifications. Does it require sacrifice to accomplish? Does it appeal to the emotion and mind or just the senses? Is there a sense of actual passion regarding it? Does it affect other living things in a positive way? These are a few common ingredients of fulfilling endeavors. Fulfillment, the cure for addiction and pleasure seeking. Addiction is often a coping mechanism used to compensate for a biochemical deficiency or some previously experienced trauma, such as abuse, pain, or shame. An addiction is used as a tool to escape from or avoid the memory or awareness of some prior trauma. This is true, but we can add a finer dimension to it. I was never traumatized, and yet I am an addict. I've always sensed that life, even when luxurious and happy, has a nagging limitation to it. And no matter what I acquire, I will eventually realize that all I acquire is so futile. Complacency is an inevitability to pleasure. When I was first exposed to helping others and creating something personal and meaningful, I felt whole, complete, deep. I realized what I truly craved and needed was the untapped and dormant potential to make a contribution to the world in some way. I personally need to serve others and humanity to feel fulfillment. We all need to feel fulfilled. If we don't feel fulfilled, we will seek pleasure as a convenient substitute. The panacea to drugs is to heed the calling of your spirit to contribute in some way. Be a help, not a hindrance, or even just neutral. We're either part of the problem or part of the solution. How do we hear the call of our spirit? Meditate, pray, seek, want, and need it as bad or even more deeply than you want dope, ice cream, or money, and it will reveal itself. The answer is inside, deep in your heart, spirit, and mind. The answer is there. We don't need to create it or have it created. We need to uncover it. Allow yourself to need it and beg for it to be revealed to you. It already belongs to you, so you don't need to get permission to view it. It's yours. Go toward the silence inside. Quiet the outer world and its BS, brainwashing and subterfuge. Don't seek it, allow it. I know, it sounds cryptic and ethereal. I assure you, it only seems that way because we try to view or touch it with conventional seeing or touching. Feel your way. Don't touch or smell or see it. Those senses have often misled you. Your brain will mislead you too. You think with your brain, but you feel with your mind. Brain and mind are different. Brain is tissue and it is body and it is human. But mind is spirit, thought, and feeling, and it is very near to soul. Get beyond yourself. Project Addiction is $325 for 6 months of treatment. You do it from home every day, by yourself, with your family or spouse or other. You don't get exiled into a facility or leave your life. You keep working, living, and evolving as you learn how to solve your addictions, habits, and unwanted behaviors. And it's guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's how much confidence I have in it, and that's how successful it is to the Project Addiction Recovers across the U.S. and abroad. Check out the testimonials. Finally, it's time to no longer be a problem. Finally, it's time to be a part of the solution. Go to life-mind.com for your treatment solution. That's life-mind.com. Project Addiction is $325 for 6 months of treatment. Your first 7 days of Project Addiction treatment course is absolutely free. You do it from home every day, by yourself, with your family or spouse or other. You don't get exiled into a facility or leave your life. You keep working, living, and evolving as you learn how to solve your addictions, habits, and unwanted behaviors. And it's guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's how much confidence I have in it, and that's how successful it is to the Project Addiction Recovers across the U.S. and abroad. Check out the testimonials. Finally, it's time to no longer be a problem. Finally, it's time to be a part of the solution. Go to life-mind.com for your treatment solution. That's life-mind.com. Your first 7 days of Project Addiction treatment course is absolutely free. So what's your reaction? Please tell me what you thought of that. I'm not going to comment initially because I'm the author of it. I'm the one that created this, and so I don't think it's fair for me to, I'll be to explain some of it, but I want to hear what your reactions are, how it affects you.
I took a couple of notes on some things, just words or phrases that I felt were almost like concentration of the concentration, because that was pretty brief, but also really quite on point and profound. I liked how you said that it appeals to your spirit and that it's deep and that it evolves and that mind is spirit and not our brain.
Yeah. There's a difference.
Yeah. And to allow it and to be open to whatever it is. So there's this open-hearted, open-mindedness and a creativity, whatever that might be. It doesn't need to be that it's artistic, but that you're allowing yourself to get creative with yourself and with your passions.
Yeah.
The obvious follow-up when I would introduce this concept to people that would come to see me for counseling And it didn't matter if they were addicts or anxiety, depression, whatever. Honestly, this was the panacea, the blanket, the true reason why we are unhappy, because happiness is transient, it's temporary, and it's shallow. But fulfillment enriches us. It takes more and requires more, but it goes deeper and lasts longer. Pleasure is real simple. Once the thing of pleasure is gone, like drugs or ice cream, then the pleasure is gone. But fulfillment keeps giving long after. And so the big question would always ensue is people would hear this, and usually it was in live sessions, and I would orate on this, and I'd explain this in workshops, whatever, and the lights would go on, and people would say, oh my God, that's what's going wrong, is that I'm seeking pleasure instead of fulfillment. Fulfillment. And of course, that would prompt them to say, so how do I find fulfillment? So you called out the water I'm drowning in, but you're not throwing me a life preserver. How do I find fulfillment? And
Pleasure
so,
is temporary.
right. And so now I know, do not seek pleasure, that's going to lead me down dark paths, it's going to lead me down to some vices. But how do I find fulfillment? So we'll set that aside for a moment. Danny, your reaction to the little 5-minute section we just heard.
I do believe that the brain is matter, and it's made of tissue, and it's just a substance. It's just it's all it is. We're flesh and we're spirit. So, there's people who can open their brain, open their mind to go into other dimensions, like with the dope. There'd be times we get high and we'd be up for days and days and days. And the things that we seen were actually there, the meth monsters,
We saw some
the
weird
dark
shit.
shadows. Those weren't fake. Those weren't just because we've been up. They're there. We've opened ourselves to that,
We've kind of activated and opened another threshold to be able to view other layers of reality. That's
Yeah.
often what books do. But so whether they're real or not is not even so much the point, is, are they useful? And so most of the time, no, they're not useful.
No, they're not.
They're quite the contrary. They're counterproductive, because they're
Yeah.
not, they may be very real, but they have no value.
Yeah.
I
So
think value is a really good word to use with that. It's like, where do we find value in our lives, and not in a monetary sense, but to something that really, it does feel like it's tapping into a deeper part of us.
Yes.
as you said, value, that is the difference, is that, again, fulfillment gives us a sense of value. Pleasure is, again, just enjoyment. It's just very superficial. It's just on the surface. Nothing wrong with it. And one of the main things I point out there that I think is tremendous of value is that fulfillment comes with pleasure. When you're having fulfillment experiences, you feel happy. You feel joy with that. But when you're in pleasure, you're not feeling fulfillment necessarily.
Mhm.
Fulfillment comes with pleasure, like a side order. Okay, it comes with it as a bonus feature. But pleasure does not come with fulfillment. It's here and it's gone. And so now you get both. Again, you got to work more. You got to sacrifice more to get fulfillment. It takes sacrifice and commitment and discipline. Well,
I think that
what
point
else?
right there, right,
Yeah.
is something I've been thinking about, and something I wrote down to mention is having motivation. Self-motivation is huge and key. And I think when we start to see in ourselves or observe in other people where there's transformation really going on, when it's like, oh wow, that's really exciting. You're getting into something that's clearly finally a focus for you, that's really resonating with fulfillment. There's this drivenness behind it. And it might be that it takes a lot of work. It might be that it takes a lot of sacrifice and effort. But the passion that's pushing it, the motivation behind it, is undeniable. And it's something that people can't even quite describe. And I was speaking with a friend recently. I haven't spoken to him in a long time, and he's sharing with me these deeper things that he wants to pursue in his life, and not quite sure how to do it, but it's underlining there for him. And it made me think exactly of this concept of this is something that fulfills you and it's worth it. It's so valuable to us, but it's hard work and it doesn't always produce results immediately.
No.
And mostly it doesn't.
It's usually delayed. Again, pleasure is instant gratification. That's one of the warning signs. You know that it's not good for you if it's instant gratification. Fast food, drugs, those are instant gratification. That's a red flag. Do not trust anything that is instant gratification. And so, yes, the delayed reaction, the things that take longer to experience the benefits from. So and what you just said, the P word, passion. As people asked me, do I seek and achieve fulfillment? The P word would always come up because you've got to have passion. And then people were saying, but what am I passionate about? How do I find passion? How do I do this? How do I activate that? And so again, as we seek, I'm reading off the book here that was just in the video. So, and here it is. As we seek and pursue fulfillment over pleasure, ask ourselves when we're looking for things to get involved with, does it require sacrifice to accomplish? Everything that's fulfilling is going to require sacrifice. So that's a sign that you're going the right path. Rather than with pleasure, it's like, well, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to work for that. I just want it. And so again, automatically, anything that's going to have value is going to require sacrifice. Does it appeal to the emotion and mind or just the senses? Right? So these are very clear, easy ways to define the difference between fulfillment and pleasure experiences. Is there a sense of actual passion regarding it, as you're pointing out? That's where the motivation is going to be. Without passion, you're lost. Again, even when we want pleasure, I give an example in another chapter here that my son and I were watching some sports and he says, I'm so hungry. I said, what do you want to get to eat? I'm hungry too. Let's get some lunch. What do you want? He goes, I don't know. I go, well, you want to go to Mickey D's? You want to go to Taco Bell? What do you want? He goes, no. I'm craving something. I don't know what it is, but I don't want any of that. What do you want? He said, I don't know. I know I can feel it and I can taste it, but I don't know what it is. That an In-N-Out commercial came on. He goes, that's it. That's what I want. I want In-N-Out and that's all I want. And I said, dude, that's hella long across. It's all the way across town. There's a long line. It's a pain in the ass. You shouldn't want to go to a local burger place around the corner. He goes, nope. I don't care what it takes. I want to go. That's what I want. And I'm willing to work for it. And then when you do that, that's the passion in a superficial pleasure sense. When we have passion, we're willing to make the sacrifice. We're willing to drive across town, sit in line. And when we're done, it was delicious. It was better than it was. I don't remember it being quite this good. Why? What's different? What made it better is the passion that was put into it. So does it affect other living things in a positive way? Pleasure things don't. Pleasure just affects you. Does it affect other living things in a positive way? That's a good green flag that you're on the right course. Those are a few common ingredients of fulfilling endeavors. So indeed, the passion I think is very important. And that's what hopefully this activates, is when we realize that as we pursue pleasure, it's never going to end well. And then there's the other parts of it as well. So we want instant gratification, but we feel guilty before we go eat fast food, before we even do it. We know we're going to feel guilty before, during, and after, and yet we're going to go do it, right? It's just pleasure, right? We want to involve and look for things that, again, not just require sacrifice, but that we can feel good about prior, during, and after. And again, the moment you see that, yeah, but that's a lot more work to go in and out or whatever, that's a lot more work involved. I could just do this really. That's, again, the sign that you're on the right track. Rather than being discouraged, when I see something that's easy to attain and acquire, I don't trust it. I'm like, that can't be good. My history shows that anything that's easy to acquire is going to be toxic and not going to be healthy and good for me. The things that require dedication and passion and some effort, those things, again, those are the signs, right? Danny, your thoughts on this? Have this been your life experience as well?
Well, my mom would always tell me, let me see, she would say, the food isn't worth the calories, eating McDonald's isn't worth the calories. And, it's not.
And I think you and I learned that big time with dope. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, we shared in the other episode that Dana was on, we shared a couple of anecdotes and stories of, and we can tell you that those are two intense ones. And those are just, they weren't unusual. This was the way we lived. Those two stories, those 2, 3 stories we shared in that other episode, those were not like the big, giant, grandiose ones that stand out. They were just one of many, many. This is the way we lived. This is the way we endured. It's the
Yeah.
way we were madmen. We were simply in pursuit of dope and pleasure, no matter what. It didn't matter what it took to get it. We were doing that.
It didn't matter what it was.
It didn't matter. We weren't that selective about which drugs we were doing. We weren't like we were poly addicts. Whatever you got, and as much as you got, I'll do it all, and I don't care what it is. And again, all we ever saw is again that it didn't ever give you anything fulfilling. All you ever got was regret, and eventually it becomes nothing but regret. So again, the lessons are there that it takes a long time. Again, we were so vehement, so infused, but again, we were young and stupid. And it isn't until you start to mature, and I'd say a sign of maturity, a definition of maturity. I often say the maturity is accountability. When you become accountable as an individual, that's when you're maturing. That's when you're starting to become an adult. Not when you're 18 and can join the armed forces. No, or vote. No, you become an adult when you have accountability for who and what you are.
It's an ongoing process.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And it should be, because you can always become more adult and more mature. And again, to realize and admit that these things are dead ends. And that's what the maturity was. Maturity was realizing that this where it's going to end up. And I'm seeing this all the time. The evidence is clear. Why are you expecting a different result by doing the same action? And there we
Right.
were doing dope all the time, thinking it was going to come out different this time. We're not just getting high, we're going to get the high. And you're never getting the high. And you're also thinking, this time I'm gonna manage it better. It's gonna be different this time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna be more responsible with this one.
Yeah, it's not drugs that are bad, it's the way I'm doing them.
Yes.
Drugs are fine, I just don't do them right. If I
Right.
find the right formula to do them properly, they're gonna be just fine.
Right.
That's what the addict
And
is.
acceptable.
He's literally thinking, if the drugs aren't bad, it's just how I'm doing them. I gotta figure out the right system to do them properly. Then they're gonna be fine. Then we can live together and coexist.
Yeah.
And have the profound experience that will really create the spark for fulfillment. I think I thought that I was going to find fulfillment through use,
Sure.
that it was going to create this profundity that was going to mean something. I was going to somehow reach for the most unattainable thing, and that would then spark and project me into something that was more fulfilling, instead of seeking that fulfillment with my own energies, instead of this like backdoor
Right.
way in.
And as when Dana was on last time, one of the things we shared was a chapter from A Stone's Throw, because that recovers a lot of the time that he and I were out there doing drugs. And it was the first time that we did LSD together. And indeed, the entire motivation, the whole reason that Dana and I kind of bonded, had this mission to get LSD before we ever took it before. Our first time was simply because we wanted to experience something profound. We weren't just trying to have a good time. We wanted to discover we wanted to unravel the mysteries of life. That's why we wanted it. And we were on a mission. We were going, again, as you were saying, Chloe, it wasn't just about having a good time for us at all. We wanted to experience something that was profound. And that's a little emotional moment there. This was my big breakthrough as an addict, when I realized that I wasn't addicted to drugs at all, ever, or sex. It seemed like it. What I was truly addicted to was trying to experience something profound, something fulfilling, something beyond myself. That's what I was addicted to. What I was truly pursuing was something that was profound and meaningful. And fulfillment is the pursuit of something with meaning in it. Something is meaningful, to give your life meaning. And anything else will never serve. All it will ever do is cause you to seek for more and more and more. Don't get me wrong. Here's the blessing and the curse of pursuing fulfillment. Once you realize and you're willing to accept that you need to spend your time and invest to fulfillment instead of pleasure, I'm going to give you this warning because the lights are going on. People are saying, "Oh my God, that's it. I got to find fulfillment, and then I'll be fine. I'll start to have fulfillment." But in a similar way as with pleasure, whatever you achieve and attain, you just want more.
Yeah.
This is the human animal. The human animal only knows we want more and we want better. We are desire machines. But since I'm going to want more and better no matter what I do as a human being, then why not make the things I want more of and better to be fulfilling, profound, meaningful, spiritual maybe, with heart, rather than just pure, plain, raw pleasure and sensory enjoyment. I'm going to be driven to pursue better and more, then why not make it something that is meaningful? Why not fulfillment instead? If I'm going to be a slave to desires, then what I can choose, and this was a big watershed breakthrough in my own addiction recovery, was that if I can't stop being an addict, then I might as well be addicted to good things. And I am. I'm a goddamn addict and I can't change. I have an addictive personality. Whatever I do, it's all in or I don't give a shit at all. I'm either indifferent and don't care at all or I'm all in. That's my addictive nature. So I've applied that same attitude. I'm like, since I can't stop that, how about I just apply it properly and apply it differently? It's drugs and pleasure. How about parenting? How about being loving? How about being a good partner? How about being a good counselor and helping people? How about being an author? How about all the things that are can actually pay me dividends as well and change and help people as well? If I'm going to be obsessed, then why not make it about good things? And I would say,
If you're gonna chase it for the right reasons.
that's right, and chase something that isn't toxic.
Right.
Again, I can't stop being an addict. That's my nature. That's how I'm designed. That's my DNA. That's a fact. I know this. I was born that way. But since my addictive mind doesn't really care what I'm addicted to, then why not choose something to be addicted to that's good and beneficial? You want to have balance in your life, but we're dumb and humans. We can't have balance. We don't know how to do that. Humans aren't designed that way. We want things in excess. But if I'm going to be in excess, and again, if I'm excessive in drugs, that shit'll kill me. It'll put me in an institution. If I'm excessive in health, well, maybe that's not the right way to be. It's not very balanced, but it's better than addicted to drugs. If I'm going to be addicted, then why not? If I'm going to be addicted, I want to try not to be addicted at all. But since I am addicted to things, then why not choose addiction to better things?
Yeah.
For me as an addict, that's my only choice. I'm going to be addicted one way or the other. I can choose what to be addicted about. That's all. Non-addicts, they're fine. They can maybe find some balance off, but I'm not one of them. And most people that I meet, they're the same. We all want something excessive. We all want something extreme. And what it comes down to, what I saw as a counselor dealing with crisis and trauma and family issues and existential issues, philosophical issues, that everyone that came to me, eventually what I saw is that you're not addicted to food and laziness or anything else. You just something that has meaning in your life. You want to feel like you have like life itself has value. And again, the lights would go on. And how do we pursue that?
Dana, what brings fulfillment in your life?
Family, my wife, God, doing things for others. Talking positive things. I used to draw these pictures. I know Scott's got one. Those weren't always positive pictures.
Yeah, but they were really, really fucking wild and cool, though. Really wild and cool, though. They were dark and twisted. I mean, really haunted and twisted, but they were so great.
Yeah. I mean, they were, but they weren't positive at all.
No.
And I try to draw now, and I can't even do it. I have no imagination for drawing.
Well, I will tell you that when I was writing A Stone's Throw about so much of our lives together and all this group of people that we had and that whole phase of my life, I wanted an illustrator. Like Ralph Steadman does for Hunter Thompson. I love Ralph Steadman and Hunter Thompson. I wanted Dana to illustrate a lot of the parts of Stone's Throw because I thought his drawings are really out there and really crazy. And again, he asked me I do have one that's I've had for, it's been 30 years or so that I have from back then. It's all in color, and it's all on a big piece of cardboard that he drew when he was high as fuck. Okay. And he drew this entire, and I have it somewhere, but I haven't been able to find it. It's stored away somewhere safe. So I haven't been able to find it. When I do, I want to put it on, I want to try to edit it in and show it on this video.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see it too, just to see, how far I've come.
Well, everything you just mentioned, look, you both mentioned the same thing, and I'm mentioning it too. What did we find fulfillment in? Helping others, doing something meaningful, being productive. It's all about what we export from ourselves and make the world a better place. That's what becomes fulfilling. And that takes
Yeah.
a lot more work and effort. It's a lot more selfless. It's a lot less selfish. And so we all agree on this. And again, as I said in that very video, when I realized that I wanted to make a difference in the world in some type of positive way, that's where I found my fulfillment. Do I make a difference? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my own illusion. I do get to help people. I made a career of that. But honestly, that's not why I do it. I'm a selfish son of a bitch. Why I'm doing it is honestly because it keeps me busy and gives me something important that I feel is important to do with my time and my energy. Rather than just doing trivial things that don't really matter and make a difference, I'm trying to do something that I think is meaningful. And that fulfills me. That's all we
Yeah.
can do. Now, you also mentioned, which is a good segue, God. Indeed, I'm a spiritualist. This next section we're going to listen to is spirituality and recovery. Teilhard de Chardin, that I quote so often. I am not a human being having a spiritual experience. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience.
Yeah.
We need to remember this because this is where we find fulfillment. And so, and again, I don't want to preach spirituality or religion to people. So I created spirituality and recovery, not religion and recovery, to appeal and hopefully invite people in to consider this as an option to solve problems, find comfort, find joy, find meaning in their life. And so it wasn't a chance, it wasn't coincidence that pleasure versus fulfillment was followed by spirituality and recovery.
I agree.
So that's going to wrap up this pleasure versus fulfillment section of this dialogue. We're going to continue this dialogue with the next chapter and with spirituality and recovery. To apply spirituality and recovery, I think, is the segue. It is an addition to pleasure versus fulfillment. And I'm not going to get denominational or religious on us. It's going to be, when I say recovery, addiction, anxiety, depression, trauma, crisis, simply trying to recover from whatever is bothering you, whatever you feel you need to get past or get over or grow with. So spirituality can be used as a tool for that. So we're going to be diving into that in our next part. The three of us, with Dana as well.
All right, that sounds good.
All right. Until next time, leave your third eye open. Full episodes, services, knowledge, and all you'll ever need on scottspackey.com and life-mind.com.
Ocean collides with the sun.
If you like what you hear, follow or subscribe to this podcast to get more from Pry Open Your Third Eye.
Change your mind and change your life. Break bad habits, solve addictions from alcohol to ecstasy, shopping to sex. Solve anxiety, depression, confidence, and motivation. Find direction and purpose. Life is bright when it is good and we are living to our potential. Life is long and dull when our potential remains dormant. Your potential and purpose are already inside you and waiting for you. It doesn't need to be created. It needs to be uncovered and revealed. My services include live counseling, video courses, books and mentoring through email and text. Visit scottspackey.com for your options. Let's get started. Are you ready?